even though Jana, person, Sadhya, forthwith, Vyujeta, do give up, Kim Utta Anyai, what to speak of any other thing, Dhana Adibi, such as wealth, honor, children, land, and house. Repeat again. Such as wealth, honor, children, land, and house. Did we leave anything out? Translation. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Whoever is under the influence of Supreme Kala, eternal time, must surrender his most dear life, and what to speak of other things, such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home. Please get one of those. Purport. A great Indian scientist, busy in the plan-making business, was suddenly called by invincibly eternal time while going to attend a very important meeting of the Planning Commission. And he had to surrender his life, wife, children, house, land, wealth, etc. During the political upsurge in India and its division into Pakistan and Hindustan, so many rich and influential Indians had to surrender life, property, and honor due to the influence of time. And there are hundreds and thousands of examples like this, like that, all over the world, all over the universe, which are all effects of the influence of time. Therefore, the conclusion is that there is no powerful living being within the universe who can overcome the influence of time. Many poets have written verses lamenting the influence of time. Many devastations have taken place over the universes due to the influence of time, and no one could check them by any means. Even in our daily life, so many things come and go in which we have no hand, but we have to suffer or tolerate them without remedial measure. That is the result of time. Translation again. Whoever is under the influence of Supreme Kala, eternal time, must surrender his most dear life, and what to speak of other things, such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home. Om Jnana Tamrandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshormlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bangom Langardegram Yakipatam Maham Vande Shri Gurum Devatanam. So here's Vidura giving the ultimate instruction to Dhritarashtra. So far, Dhritarashtra is just sitting there listening. And not just Dhritarashtra, all the members who were present there were benefiting from Vidura, Mahatma Vidura's instructions in this regard. And this is the side benefit. We sometimes see that people will come into the temple and they'll sit. For whatever reason they came, and they'll hear the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita discourse given by one of the devotees. And at that point in time, their life is perfect. They don't know what benefit that they're getting. But due to the effect of time, just like time is the destroyer, Krishna says, Kalosmi. By time also, a person gets the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any, what's that verse? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastrikoy. Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi. Just by this Lava Matra means one moment's association with the sadhu. Just one moment's association. His life is perfect. Because he has stopped the cycle of birth and death. How has he stopped? Still he's going to die. But that death, in relation to his eternal cycle, samsara, has now ceased. It is just a matter of time. How many more births? That cannot be said. If he takes it up in this lifetime, then he has a good chance in this lifetime to finish everything. But even if he doesn't, even if he walks out of the temple and never comes to another discourse, in his next birth, he picks up exactly where he left off. Means he's now making progress towards the eternal goal. The cycle has been broken. Samsara dhanala vidaloka. Agyata sukriti. Unknowingly, he has broken that cycle. This is amazing. This is why we take such effort to maintain these buildings. Such a big headache. Otherwise, why do we need it? Not for our comfortable living. We can live any place. I want to speak. It's not always a comfortable living. Very austere. But we do it so that the conditioned soul has the opportunity to come in and have darshan of their Lordship, Sri Sri Radha Govinda. And a moment's association with the devotees who will speak into his heart just what he needs to hear. You are not this body. You are a spirit soul. You are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And your real business is how to get out of this material world. So this is what Vidura is telling Dhritarashtra. In some roundabout way. Because he knows the king is puffed up. So he cannot tell him directly. If you tell somebody directly in that condition, they harden up. They close their mind. But he's in a position, and his Vidura, as the compassionate younger brother, knows exactly what to say and how to say it in such a way that he can understand that, yes, I'm wasting time. What is that famous saying by Shakespeare? Anybody know?
Time and time.
That's one. In my youth, I wasted time. Now doth time waste me. In my youth, I wasted time. Now doth time waste me. So everyone will suffer the effect. Just like this man, and Prabhupada says it so perfectly. Member of a big planning commission. And he's going to a meeting of the planning commission. And all his plans are cut short by the hand of inevitable, invisible time. We had one Ayurvedic doctor in Vrindavan. Very puffed up. Not very qualified, but very puffed up. He thought he was very smart, how he's going to help so many people, and he's trying to make so much money by his special combination of medicines like this and that. And he was on a visit to his native place, which was South India. And he's driving along in the road, completely oblivious to eternal time. And out of nowhere, of course, it's not out of nowhere. This is the point. If you understand how eternal time is working, then you are cautious. You don't waste time. Out of nowhere, he's driving along, and a utility pole just fell down and crushed the car he was in. Just at that split intersection of time, karma, fate, whatever you want to call it. He never knew what hit him. But immediately, everything was stopped. Next birth. Boom. Yam yam bhapi smaran bhabam So what was he thinking? Was he listening to the radio? Was he thinking about some other mundane thing? Whatever it was, that's where he is. Human life is, he had whatever opportunity he had. Prabhupada quotes common, simple Bengali saying, which I may not be pronouncing correctly. Bhajan karo, pujan karo, matli janli hai.
Yeah, bhajan karo, puja karo, matli janli hai. You have to know how to die. Whatever you do.
So Prabhupada said that. Your bhajan, your puja is tested at the time of death. Whatever you have done, the ultimate test. Nothing complicated. Anyone who's familiar with the philosophy, he knows. I must die. But I must prepare. So many people are preparing for tests every day. Someone is taking this test, someone is taking that test. They're studying very hard how to get their qualifications, how to get their degree. But how hard are they studying to pass the ultimate test? How hard are they studying? Are they chanting 16 rounds? Are they hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily? Are they practicing what they've heard? Sometimes people tell us, are you practicing what you preach? We tell so many people, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regular principles. But we have to also practice that. Otherwise there's no potency. Right? Samo damo tapaso cham shanti ajvamevacha jnanam vijnanam saitam brahma karma subhavaja. So these things we have to be developing. Samo, this just ability to maintain equilibrium in all circumstances, regardless of the, because we see that in the material world, any time, this is, after all, Kali Yuga, age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Even the smallest thing creates a problem. But one has to remain undisturbed. And everything is there in order for us to achieve this condition of equilibrium. Even the smallest activity of Krishna consciousness, just like we have to sit and chant our 16 rounds. In order to do that, we have to control the mind. The mind is telling you, no, you have so many other things to do. You need to leave the temple right now and go do it. Your nice warm bed is waiting upstairs. Whatever. So many things are there. Just saying, no, you can chant later. This is the mind. But no, you cannot. Death does not wait. You cannot say, no, death, you wait. I didn't finish my 16 rounds. No. Death has no such concern in this regard. Right? And here we know that Mahatma Vidura is also, he's the incarnation of Yamaraj. He's the incarnation of Yamaraj. Mahatma Vidura. Because he wanted to come and preach. So externally it appeared that he was cursed by Manduka. But everyone knows the story. Manduka Muni. Why? Why was he cursed? What was his offense? Because he judged Manduka Muni in his childhood that he pierced one insect with a straw. And therefore, he had to appear before Yamaraj. But actually, this was not considered an offense that required his presence in the hellish planet before Yamaraj. Because he became a Muni. He became free from all sinful reactions. So how he came there? This is also instructive to us. Once one takes up the process of devotional service, sincerely, seriously, taking shelter of the spiritual master, taking initiation, all of his previous sinful activity is finished. So he should not have been brought to the court of Yamaraj. So therefore he cursed Yamaraj. But this is just a play. Just so Yamaraj could take birth in where Krishna is having his pastimes. There's so many things like this. We don't understand all the intricacies. Who is an eternal associate of Krishna, who is not? We have to hear from the realized souls. They know these things. And therefore we have the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Bhagavatam is not any ordinary Bhagavatam. There are many commentaries. Every line has a commentary. But this, by Baladev Vidyabhushan, this is Govinda Bhasya. What does Govinda Bhasya mean? This is spoken directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was praying. He had no hope. He was in the assembly of these sadhus, and he was rejected. That you cannot be present here because you have no original commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very embarrassing for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So he went and he prayed that what to do. And there's a famous place where this occurred in Jaipur called Galta. And Galta is a very mystical area. If you ever go to Jaipur, it's not well known. Even people in India, they do not know. But this is where the Supreme Lord Govinda, who resides also eternally in Jaipur, by his own pastimes. He spoke at this place, and Baladev Vidyabhushan, in one night. Everything was done. One night. 18,000 shlokas. And he appeared in the assembly, and how could anyone understand? How this happened? This is the miracle of this particular Srimad Bhagavatam in our lineage. Very special. And if you go to Galta, you can see it. Now it is indistinct, but the hermitages they're ancient. Maharaj, have you been to Galta? There's a Gomukh. Jaipur is a desert. Out of the side of the cliff, the Ganges pours freely. And in a beautiful pool, when we were young brahmacharis, we would go there and jump off the cliff into this deep pool. I would go with Jagat Guru Maharaj, who's now not doing very well. May Sri Radha Govinda have some compassion for his service to them.
The water pours the same, right? No matter flood or drought or whatever.
Everything, just constant.
Exactly the same.
Constant. It's just a miracle. So you should go to Galta. Of course, everyone should go to Jaipur and see Govindaji. But this place where the Bhagavatam is spoken, when you walk into this area, you have to climb the mountain a little bit. You go into this hermitage, carved out of solid rock, all these cells, since time immemorial. And you feel this amazing energy. It's indescribable. The hairs stand on end. So everyone should get a chance to visit these special places. But so what to speak? Vidura personally, comes, has compassion. And we know so many things. And Yamaraj is also the father of Yudhishthira. So how these things all occur in concert with the Supreme Lord, in his own way, intervening in all-powerful time. Intervening. Because Dhritarashtra's fate was not very, how can you say, favorable. He was destined to die a failure. After all of his political wrangling was defeated, the loss of his 100 sons, the loss of his kingdom, such humiliation. So without the intervention of Mahavidura, he was going to die and suffer the most hellish situation. No one can understand how hellish to suffer for causing so much misery, so much death, so much destruction, all for some personal plan. But Vidura came and intervened and stopped all that and elevated him completely out of that situation. So this is that lava macha sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. So the devotees are very compassionate. They don't mind any hardship. But their only desire is to deliver the conditioned souls. So therefore, you see that our main effort is book distribution, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. It's like on Harinam and distributing the holy name. So many people heard the holy name. And everyone who hears it, they're happy, they're smiling. When we approach them to give them a book, even if they don't take, they're smiling. In New York City, when they don't take the book, they smile and they go like this.
So,
They go like this. So that's, somehow or other, we have this mission. In original, this is Prabhupada's place. He always spoke very fondly of New York. You don't see how he spoke. Some other places occasionally, but for the most part, New York was very dear to him. And I've told many times that the only deity photo in his room in Mayapur, the only deity photo, is Radha Govinda. Only since 1972. Only deity photo. So we have a great opportunity to take part in this continuing legacy. Nothing can interrupt the movement, but sometimes, as the Bhagavad Gita indicates, the science as it is appears to be lost. Just like here for many, many years there was no preaching. And many people were hopeless what to do. But Krishna had his plan, by time, by the agency of time. Again, not by anything else, but by the agency of time. When it was the time, this is how things work. And people get an opportunity to participate. And so it's a great boon, a great benediction. It's like getting everybody's praying to the demigods for some boon. Some wife, some life, some wealth, some health. Everybody's asking, Donam Devi, like this. Everybody wants. But the devotee, he gets the greatest boon by being able to participate directly in the Lord's pastimes. This is directly the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. We lament, we weren't there during Krishna's pastimes. But we forget somehow, by Krishna's arrangement also, that we are directly in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. This is his arrangement. All of this, everything we see, every aspect of it. And he sent, it's very special, Commander-in-Chief, Senapati, Srila Prabhupada, personally sent. We think somehow that, he accidentally met his spiritual master in 1922. No, how is this an accident? Prabhupada indicates that his friend took him, he dragged him, you must come. But these are not accidents. Everything was meant to be. But somehow or other it just seems that there are other agents involved. But no matter. The fact is that those who have the understanding to see, appreciate that. That's why we want to remain associated with, this great movement, the benediction movement. Chaitanya Chandradoya. Prabhupada named the temple Mayapur Chandradoya Mandir. And the first deity in Mayapur was Mayapur Chandra. Mayapur Chandra is not an ordinary deity. He's made like they make the dolls for Durga Puja and Kali Puja, made from the earth, cow dung, straw, and a wire frame. So he's just, ultimately he's earth. And so he was not meant to last for a long time. And usually you can't have extended worship. After 10 days, 15 days, they take these dolls, they throw them in the Ganges. But he was such an amazing deity, the energy, the potency. When you see Mayapur Chandra, he's in Prabhupada's bedroom in Mayapur. So much Shakti. And so when they were told Prabhupada, the deity is becoming old, we need to properly dispose. Prabhupada said, no. They said, what should we do? He said, bring him to my room. Now he's worshipped there ever since. The first deity, Mayapur Chandra. So all of these things are points along a timeline of pastimes, beginning 5,000 years ago, and then 500 years ago, and now. This is all part of the same timeline. It's not different. Krishna is there, I is here, Prabhupada is here. We're all participating. But sometimes we think, no, I'm not. What do I have to do? I can leave, go someplace else. Yes, of course. Everyone has free will, and he can leave anytime. But the intelligent person knows this is the safest place. I'm properly situated. And anything that takes me out of here is mine. Still, I may go. That's there. But one should know that this is his, how can you say, a symptom of spiritual weakness. A symptom of spiritual weakness. Because there's the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. And so, in all circumstances, one has to take shelter of that spiritual intelligence. Not material intelligence, not material mind, not material ego. He has to use his spiritual intelligence. What is my ultimate benefit? There's that verse. Matirna Krishna Paratak Svatova Mito Vipaditi Grihavitanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Charvata Charvananam. Very famous verse. 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 30. Prahlad Maharaj. You know, there are so many. Prahlad Maharaj is another Mahajan. Just like Yamaraj also. He's Mahajan. So this, Prabhupada has this verse translated slightly differently in different places, because he quotes it many times. Before the 7th canto was compiled, before Prabhupada began the actual translation, there were many, he was quoting this verse in 3rd canto and other previous lectures. And so he wrote it here in 3rd canto at that time. Because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Sometimes Prabhupada used to use the word joint conference. People are having conferences, try to come to some consensus or conclusion, and they talk about so many things. So in this assembly here, we're only talking about Krishna. And many people come, but still, they cannot, because they're intent on chewing the chew, they cannot let go and take these words to heart. the words of the Bhagavatam, not our words, the words of the Bhagavatam. And this, Prabhupada is the spiritual master. These self-realized souls, they're called Trikaligya. Means they can see past, present, and future. And in the material world, everyone knows. And they have such sayings also. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. They say things like that. And in simple language, in our generation, they used to call the highway to hell the very fast road, and very difficult, very few exits. Sometimes you get, you're driving on the highway and you miss your exit and it says next exit, 50 miles. 50 miles. You have to go 50 miles before you can get off the highway and turn around. Sometimes people try to cut across the median and then they get stuck because it's soft earth. So you don't want to pass this exit towards the spiritual world, towards Krishna consciousness. We exit at Skimmerhorn Street or any other temple. Because if you have to go past, who knows how many lives. Prabhupada gave an indication one time. Nobody could believe. He said, Krishna is very kind. He will fulfill all your material desires. And you can see some people, they're thinking, he's saying this in India, so people say, okay. He said, if you want big buildings, you can get big, big buildings. At that time in Mayapur, there was nothing, only rice paddy.
Big buildings.
Now you go to these big, big buildings. He said, but you will have to take another birth. And there will be a gap of millions of years. Millions of years. So this is that exit too far. Only a foolish person will say, okay, I'll get off and turn around. No, he's foolish. He's willing for temporary enjoyment now to take birth after millions of years. And maybe get that chance again. Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagavanji Guru Krishna Kripa. He doesn't know he'll get that mercy again. He'll wander these universes again for time immemorial. So who is that foolish person that will give up such benefit in hand for that unknown benefit? So anyway, somehow or other Dhritarashtra got the message. He got the message. It hurt. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta compared the sadhu to the surgeon wielding a very sharp scalpel. And he cuts out these cancers, maya, false ego, whatever it is that needs to be removed. He's not always, a scalpel is a sharp instrument. In the hands of an expert person, it produces the proper result. But it is still an operation using an instrument that, of course, is sharp. So sharp words sometimes. The guru sometimes has to do that. Like Vidura is doing here. He's going directly to the heart, but through the false ego. So the false ego has to be cut out. Has to be, and all these sages are very expert. Very expert. It's not something that everybody can master. But it's worth the effort to try. In one service that we were able to get some insight was the Bhakta program. We had dedicated program just for bringing new people to the temple. We had a separate situation dedicated rooms, dedicated personnel. And people would come, and we'd invite them up. And sometimes it was their first time in the temple. And they'd have questions. And sometimes there'd be arguments, very heavy arguments, because you never know how a person's going to react. You start to chip away at the false ego, or tell them something that they don't want to hear. And you get this reaction. And then you have to, you have to have some ammunition. And tejas means potency, spiritual potency. And you get that, of course, by performing your sadhana. If you don't have a good sadhana, then chances are you won't have much tejas in order to give someone what they need under those circumstances. Because it has to be in a very unmotivated way. It's not that now I have to fight false ego with false ego. It doesn't work like that. You have to fight their false ego with knowledge. And you have to deliver it in such a way that they can appreciate, even if they don't show, and we saw this many times, that they may not acknowledge that what you said defeated them, or defeated their mind. But then they come again next week. So this is the key. So you never lose hope, you never get frustrated, and you never get angry. These fallen conditioned souls will come in here after many, many births. Bhavanam Jamanam Mante, Gyanavamma Prapadite, Vasudeva Salavati, Samahatma Sudhova. After many, many births, he was actually knowledge surrender. So we don't know where that person is. So we have to give everybody the opportunity. And be very tolerant. After all, this is Prabhupada's temple. Everyone who comes is a guest. We have to make sure that we're receiving everyone properly. So many people used to come to the temple. You never knew who became a devotee. And the person you thought had the least chance, he became the best devotee. Krishna is just trying to tell you something. Just trying to show you. Just trying to show you. You give a little effort, purely, without any motive. Not any condescending or, whatever. Because sometimes you think, even on book distribution, this person, he won't take a book. Or she won't take a book. You've prejudged the situation. So you've disqualified. The super soul is not happy with that attitude. So you come to the temple, and somehow or other you have an opportunity to speak, so you speak. You never know. You just never know. This is the point. And I can say so many examples, but I don't want to speak about these specific devotees, because they're all now big devotees in the movement. But on first glance, you thought, this person will never become a devotee. He's hopeless. He's crazy. He's this, he's that. That's just because of our material conditioning, that we make some superficial judgment. And Krishna taught us a lesson. So, any questions? I'll read the shloka again. Whoever is under the influence of supreme Kala, eternal time, must surrender his most dear life, and what to speak of other things, such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home. So, we all know the goal, right? Danu Kari.
So Yamaraj surrendered himself and
Well, surrender, there has to be some surrender because he accepted his words, but it wasn't submissive surrender. It wasn't like the Pranipatena. Yeah, Pariprashna. It wasn't like that. It was almost that he was embarrassed, and therefore, understanding his duty, what he should do, He accepted because he might have been thinking Vidura is not qualified. We see that in the previous shlokas. You know, he didn't value his younger brother. Why? Because he was born of a Sudrama, a maidservant. They had such connections. You know, some personality in the royal family hooked up with the maidservant, and Vidura was born. But he has, as that personality, he has no position. No position. Can't be a spiritual master, can't be anything. No entitlement whatsoever. He's allowed to live in the palace, but that's it.
Who did Yamaraj's duties when Vidura was?
Oh, there was what's that person's name? There was another son of Aditi. Name slips my mind. For 100 years, he took Yamaraj's place. He just had to sit there.
It's in the purport, 2 purports back.
Yeah, it's in it. I remember reading it. So if you go 2 or 3 purports back, you'll see that pastime. Very interesting. Yes, Bhagavatam.
So is it conversation after fighting the...
After fighting, after everything.
And then is Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they went to sannyas?
Not yet. Now now they will go.
Okay.
After hearing from Vidura. Otherwise, Dhritarashtra was just living like a dog in the palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj, accepting the remnants. He had no pride left. He was completely just, you see a person like that, who, no pride and no shame. No pride and no shame. Even in Japan, if a person is dishonored, especially a warrior, he immediately commits harikiri, suicide by his own hand, in a very elaborate ritual. But here he was just living like a dog, Dhritarashtra. No honor, no shame. So Vidura, that's why Vidura had compassion. Even though he had been treated so badly, even though Dhritarashtra treated everybody so badly, the Vaishnava is compassionate. Paradukha dukha. He's compassionate. He doesn't think, oh, this person is not eligible. He did so many nonsense things. He caused 640 million deaths in 18 days. No, still, he's compassionate. He has a chance for rectification. So we always give. Even Prabhupada, sometimes, a little funny story, Prabhupada. Because even in our society, there are situations where devotees don't live up to the standard. So Prabhupada said once, twice, thrice, even 4 times, but 5th time not. That was his pronouncement. Once, twice, thrice, even 4 times, but 5th time not. So that's a lot of chances. That's a lot of chances. Anyway, hearing and listening to Prabhupada is the most edifying thing that devotees can do in order to maintain readiness of consciousness. Because Prabhupada, every word he speaks is for preaching. And when you listen, you hear all these interactions. You can follow his line of reasoning as he's elaborating on the verse. And you get an idea